Well, here we go again. After a week's hiatus, I was down in San Diego at UC San Diego Medical Center for an operation, which didn't come off because I came down with what another hospital said was pneumonia. Anyway, that's another story, and I want to get going with your much anticipated Midnight Skeptic show. And here's the play-in music, everybody. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not, repeat, not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, let's get going on this. There's a lot that's happened in the last 2 weeks. This is the Midnight Skeptic Show number 130. Can you believe it's been that long? Okay, this will be broadcast on September 6th, this coming Sunday. At the usual time, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is midnight back on the East Coast. And I'm recording this now on, what's today? It's a Thursday, and it's the 3rd. Okay. I guess I should just look at my monitor. It tells me what day it is. Okay. Oh, it's so good to be woke. It's so good to be woke. It's so good to be woke in the morning. Are you listening, Rhonda Fascist? I'm back, at least temporarily. I have to go back down there on September, right after the Labor Day weekend. Okay, so they'll probably do the surgery at that time. And then it'll take me God knows how long to recuperate. So, I'll have to take a break this September for perhaps another operation. Oh, there goes Sasha. There goes my cat. Okay, I thought she was going to lay on my desk during the whole show, but no such luck. Okay, I have to thank wholeheartedly Kaiser Permanente. I've been a Kaiser member for about 50 years, I figure, because I started my first real out-of-the-Navy job, out-of-college job in San Francisco at Payless Drugs, which no longer exists, but I started Kaiser at that time. Well, that was about 1973. Okay, 50 years later, here I am. Okay. And Kaiser Permanente HMO, I thank them for all their medical treatments. And really, I have absolutely no complaints with them. And I've heard a few complaints from other people, usually waiting for something, but you don't wait that long. And they, in my opinion, the Midnight Skeptic, they should be a template for a nationwide health system. Yes, I'm talking socialized medicine. Yes. Okay. Shout outs. Okay, Spotify and Anchor for the international listeners and watchers. A couple in the UK, a couple in the EU, a couple in Australia and New Zealand. One in Colombia and one in Puerto Rico. Okay, locally, Nariman, Art Kuznets, Dave and Rosita, Kevin and Lori, Tim Conrad, Rich and Kathy Berger, Tom and Nancy Throw, the three dudes of Project Censored. Okay, who are Mickey Huff, Nolan Higdon, and Andy Lee Roth. Go onto the website of Project Censored and sign up for their newsletter. It's very interesting, and you probably should buy their book, The State of the Free Press 2023. All right? Okay. San Francisco, Yvonne and Rick, Stan and Kathy and Susan Miller down in Pacifica. Los Angeles, Jackie Kolar and Samantha and Melanie, her two daughters. Arizona, my brother Bran and his wife Mina. Andrea, their daughter, my niece, who's a nurse, and her husband Tim and their three little ones. Arkansas, Shannon Reed, Florida, Nelson and Alice, and Amelia Beamer, who is now on YouTube for Locus Magazine, Locus, and they're over in Oakland, and she was an editor for them for a while. She lives in Florida now, and I don't know whether she's doing editing for them remotely, but anyway, go on to Locus Magazine and type in Amelia, and you can see her talking about their three genres that they review: science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Okay. Dr. Dave in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area, the world's finest lung doctor. I'm having a brain freeze on pulmonary doctor. All right, there we go. Long Island, Geraldine Goldfinger, and the Sonora Gang, Robert and Colleen Finnegan, Bob and Sandy Fisher, their two children, Brad and Martha. They're not really children now. They're, pushing 50, really. Okay, and Dara Larson, Judy May, Leonidas Maciel, Lynn Quayle, Kathy Francis, John Gleason and his two daughters, Tiffany and Jennifer, and then all the way down in Mexico City, Rosamalia Lopez Negrete. Okay. I have always tried to start every show, meaning the meat of the show, with good news, and I've succeeded this time. Got a sip before my throat really runs dry. Kefir. Okay, good news. The Massachusetts legislature on Monday, July 31st, approved a budget that requires the state's public schools to provide all K through 12 students with free meals, breakfast, and lunch. Massachusetts, the state, joins 7 other states that do this, including here in California. Of course, the GOP MAGAs have vowed to fight any free meals. We can't have that in this country. Fight any free meals legislation. Okay, now here's a quote from Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. He said, quote, "What's up with the GOP's fetish for preventing hungry kids from getting fed?" My sentiments exactly. The GOP conservative MAGA head Republicans would rather stick needles in their eyes than give anything to the middle class, lower class, anybody except corporate CEOs and the wealthy. That's just who they cater to. Good news. According to the Gallup religion poll, America's belief in 5 religious entities, which are God, angels, heaven, hell, and the devil, have all edged down. Belief in them has edged down since 2016, continuing a longer-term trend. Okay, right now, 74% believe in God. 69% believe in angels. Man. 67 believe in heaven. 51 believe in hell, 51%, and 58% actually believe in the devil. Okay, the hell belief, that was 59%. My handwriting was a bit off. Okay, the amount of people in this country, and I've said this on previous shows, that are categorized in these surveys as nuns, N-O-N-E-S, which encompasses atheists, agnostics, people who say they're just not affiliated with any religious belief, or religion just doesn't figure into their lives. Okay, all of those people are lumped into this category called nuns. And that is the only category that is growing. Yay. And it's mostly the younger generation. Millennials, Generation Z, Generation X, and so on. Thank God for youth. Okay, I'm sure God is thanking the non-believing youth cohort. Okay. And, okay, Catholicism is decreasing slightly. Southern Baptist Convention is decreasing slightly. This is according to Gallup polls on religion. Okay. Now, when I announce the general topic of what I'm going to be talking about on my Facebook page posting, I said that the Heritage Foundation is conducting a war, W-A-R, on our children's future. Well, if you stretch the definition of war, well, they are, because they're behind a lot of the legislation and beliefs and efforts to not help this planet Earth that our children are going to inherit. Okay, how do they do this? Okay, and they are a far right-wing think tank, and I think they're headquartered in Chicago. I did a segment on the Heritage Foundation and, their founding and how long they've been around and who's a member. I did one about 7 or 8 months ago. If if somebody out there is a bomb expert and want to set one off in their headquarters, be my guest. I'm not encouraging you to, but if it happened, ooh boy, this country would be better off. Okay, the far right-wing think tanks, Climate Battle Plan 2025. It posits that a Trump administration will begin in 2025, or some other MAGA head will get into office and will be elected in the next presidential election, 2024. This is the Climate Battle Plan. The first 180 days plan laid out by the Heritage Foundation is 1. To close down the Department of Energy's Renewable Energy Office. Renewable energy? You can't burn that. We want to burn things and release CO2. It's good for people. Number 2, cut funding for the EPA's Office of Environmental Justice. Justice? That's a lefty term. We don't want that. Number 3, stop the nation's electrical grid from expanding to include wind and solar. We don't want wind and solar. We want oil companies and coal companies for us to burn their products and give those CEOs their bonuses and profits for Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, British Petroleum, and all of them. They're the bedrock of this planet Earth. Okay. Now that's a rant that tends to dry my throat out. Okay, here's more kefir. Also, this Project 2025 would prevent states from adopting California's electrical car standards and give Republican state officials all over the United States more power to regulate polluting industries, which means no regulations at all. Paul Dans, D-A-N-S, director of Project 2025 at the Heritage Foundation, says, quote, "We are not tinkering at the edges. We are writing a battle plan, and we are marshaling our forces. Never before has the whole conservative movement banded together to systematically take power day one and deconstruct the administrative state," unquote. Everybody should realize that the Heritage Foundation, are the enemy of citizens in this country. Newt Gingrich, oh God, what a creep. He's a former Georgia GOP representative, and I think he was speaker for a while. I'm not 100% certain about that. His quote is, "What you are about to see is a dramatic shift in the landscape of solutions away from the left and toward a kind of creative governing conservatism." I don't understand how destroying the planet can be called conservatism. They muddy their terms. By they, I mean GOP MAGA Head Republican conservatives. They use these terms not to enlighten people or to explain things, but just to muddy the waters and to get their way, which is protecting profits. That's their goal in life. Okay, and all of this, the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society, all of them were created to protect, among other things, protect fossil fuel industry profits. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Good news for almost everybody who might listen to this. Why I am now a socialist. Ooh. Okay, here's the reasons. I'm going to list, and this isn't an exhaustive list of reasons why I'm a socialist now, but it goes a long way to explain myself. Number one, the gun industry has bought the GOP via the NRA and the gun lobbyists. Any regulations, no matter how much it would improve the safety of guns, is bad. Anything that will depress the sale of guns is to be avoided by them. This didn't make it into my notes here, but there was a segment on the news today, CBS News locally. There's in Colorado, and I forget the name of the company. They have begun making smart guns to where only the owner can shoot the gun. It works on fingerprints or fingerprint detectors in the handle, I suppose. I'm not a tech enough guy to know how it works, but I talked about this about 4 years ago, that this technology was available, and it was been derided by the NRA. We want anybody to be able to shoot guns. Anyhow, I wish them well, and if those types of smart guns can be manufactured, and if the gun nuts will start buying them, well, good. It's a small step in the right direction. Okay. All right, that was number one. My number two was big tobacco. They're still slinking around the edges of society. The rates of smoking, actual cigarettes, have been decreasing drastically. I think it's around 12% of adults smoke now, real cigarettes. the youth are smoking even less real cigarettes. They are tending to use vaping products. And Juul, Juul, is one of the most evil companies in that subcategory. I think they've been bought out by some other company. They used to be headquartered here in San Francisco, to our everlasting shame. Okay, number 3, big oil and coal. A whole sub-industry of climate change denial has been set up by them. They knew, or their scientists knew, way back in the late 60s and early 70s that if we continue, by we, I mean the world, if we continue to burn oil and coal in cars, ships, planes, power plants, etc., that the CO2 in the atmosphere will rise, and it has a warming effect on the whole planet. Well, we're seeing it now. The climate change bomb has gone off, I'm sorry to say. But hey, as long as the oil company CEOs get their bonuses, well, all's right with the world. Okay, number 4, big pharma. From Purdue Pharmaceuticals and the Sackler family to A.G. Bayer, as good as their new drugs are, and they have made some good ones that do help humanity, profits are their main concern. And they fight the government all the way when the government tries to restrict the profits on certain things, certain drugs that will help people in general. I'm having a brain freeze on the latest one. Diabetes. Okay. And I forget the drug's name. But anyway, the Biden administration has attempted to cap the price on it because there's so many people that have diabetes in this country and they need the drug. Okay, I hope the Biden administration is able to succeed in doing that. Okay. Big agriculture. Well, they're just farmers trying to make a living. They're huge corporations that suck the government dry of subsidies. Subsidies mainly for Midwest corn and soybean growers. These subsidies tend to keep the actual day-to-day farmers who work the land from doing so efficiently. And better farm practices are slowly coming into play. UC Davis, the nation's premier agricultural college, has convinced a number of Midwestern farmers to adjust their plowing methods, their crop rotation methods to not only make more money for them, but to sequester more carbon and, be better for the land. They're doing it out here in Sonoma County with a lot of the dairy farms. Free range cows. That probably sounds to a lot of MAGA heads like some lefty phrase, but sustainable free range farming, the cows walking through the land, eating the grass, will churn up the soil to a certain extent, which is good for the soil, which is good for sequestering more carbon. So, if it's good for the land and good for people, well, Republicans are against it. Okay. Big railroads. I've talked on a number of shows about these derailments that have been plaguing the railroad industry, mainly back east. Palestine, Ohio is one of the big ones, and it could have been maybe prevented if safety devices were placed on the tracks closer together. But federal regulations have been lobbied almost into non-existence by the railroad lobbies. And none of the railroads are innocent. None of them want safety regulations. Well, workers can be replaced. Okay, if we lose a car to a derailment, well, that's just the cost of doing business. It's figured into our profits. And big banking. Okay, the economic meltdown right at the end of the Bush administration, when President Obama was elected, bank bailouts. Do you remember the phrase, too big to fail? Well, nothing, especially no bank, should be too big to fail. Well, we managed to dodge a bullet then, and then more recently, at the end of the administration of the orange sociopathic bloat bag, our economy was rescued by having Joe Biden in charge of things, and his economic policies, along with Janet Yellen's, have tamed inflation. It's down to less than 3% now. Their goal is for 2% inflation. And unfortunately, the price we had to pay for that was increased interest rates, on which affects loans, car loans, student loans, mortgages. So that will settle out. But no industry hates requirements and regulations more than big banks, who see more profits with bigger risks. And they're willing to take these risks because the government is their safety net. Here is a good Bernie Sanders quote. Okay, quote. Like the tobacco industry before them, the fossil fuel companies' actions represent a clear violation of federal racketeering laws, comma, truth in advertising laws, comma, and consumer protection laws, comma, and potentially other laws, unquote. Go Bernie. But capitalism's prime directive is increase profits over everything else. Safety of the workers, safety of the environment, of other stakeholders, the communities that they exist in, etc., etc. Okay. Okay. Good advice. Wait a second. Where am I? Okay. Good advice for GOP candidates right now that are running against the orange sociopathic bloat bag that just made his court appearance today. He was indicted 2 days ago. Okay. This is a bit of free advice to all of the other also ran GOP candidates who say they want to be the next president, but they're really running for vice president. They've kind of given up on beating the orange sociopathic bloat bag. Okay, here's my advice. Quit pretending to be a cruel sociopath when it comes to attacking trans people, attacking workers, attacking immigrants. Quit pretending to be a sociopathic Republican conservative, because, and here's the reason, you're competing against a real criminal sociopath. And you know who I mean, the orange sociopathic bloat bag. You won't win. You can't outdo or out-hate or out-fearmonger a real criminal sociopath, which is what the orange sociopathic bloat bag is. You're going to lose. His rabid base will swing the vote in the Republican primaries, and he'll be nominated. And there's no way that he will win a general election. And there's no way that any of you other GOP candidates will win in a general election, because you can't spend your time pretending to be sociopathic haters of all these minority groups. And when it comes time to appeal to the majority of the Americans, who are, for the most part, very thoughtful, politically aware voters, it just won't work. You'll lose. Okay, that's my advice, free of charge, to the Republican Party. Okay, bad GOP cruelty news. You don't have to search the whole internet to find these things, but I, the Midnight Skeptic, will do it for you. Okay, on July 26th, which was a Wednesday, House Republicans attempted to pass a bill that would make drastic cuts to the WIC program, the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women's, Infants, and Children. That's what WIC stands for. as it is. 50% of parents, infants, and children eligible for WIC are not getting it because of bureaucratic and barriers and just general roadblocks that the Republicans have put in their way. Okay. Idiotic waste of time news. The congressional UAP hearings. Now, what's UAP? Unidentified aerial phenomena. That's the new abbreviation for what used to be UFOs. Their star witness was David Grusch. I think that's how you pronounce it. Capital Grusch. And he mentioned in his testimony that the government, our government, has found non-human biologics. That makes no sense. Every life form on this planet, Earth, is non-human, except for us. And the Midnight Skeptics, okay, I said this 3 or 4 programs ago. I am going to say something, and I guarantee it's true. Okay. The Earth, our planet Earth, been in existence for 4.5 billion years. We have never been visited by a space traveling being of any kind from any other civilization. We have never been visited by aliens. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't civilizations on other planets way out there. What I'm saying is, even if these civilizations are very advanced, they don't have the means of overriding the laws of physics. All right? They're just too far away. And believe me, I know that most of my listeners and viewers have faith in my pronouncements. Well, this is one of them. We have never and will never be visited by aliens, no matter the type of spacecraft. Okay, now, these efforts like SETI, the search for intelligent, I forget what it stands for, but they're scouring the heavens for signals, coded signals from out there. Well, what if we really did hear a coded message? Well, then what? Okay, we should know that we're not alone in the whole entire universe. Would we send back a message and wait for 200 or 300 years for it to get to them? Maybe. And hear back after another 200 or 300 years? Why don't we just accept the fact that, yeah, there's intelligent life out there, but the Midnight Skeptic says we have never been visited by aliens on this planet. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. Why can't you be? All right. Okay, now here is a description of a segment of the American people. What's with the orange sociopathic bloat bag and his voters and followers and worshipers? The orange sociopathic bloat bag supporters, for the most part, aren't part of a rational, cohesive body of political thought or ambition. They are just looking for a hill to die on, while screaming at the world. Together, in 2016, when the deplorables, as Hillary Clinton called them, took the side of the orange sociopathic bloat bag, group membership began to mean more to them like belligerents in a long-running war whose original cause is lost on the belligerents. Orange sociopathic bloat bag loyalists don't really expect to win, but the orange sociopathic bloat bag gives them a primeval sense of identity. It gives their lives meaning. The MAGA head GOPers will vote against anything they see as inspired by the libs, even when it benefits them. Spite is a motivating factor for them. Quote, "If I can't win, then I'll burn everything down." Okay, that's not a real quote from anybody in particular, but it's a quote from what I imagine goes through their heads. Okay, "If I can't win, then I'll burn everything down" is a MAGA mantra, first cousin to the South's lost cause ethos. Okay. Oy vey. Okay, I'm going to end the show with good news. 2 bits of good news. There was an article in Time magazine about 7 or 8 months ago about the death rates of Republican voters versus Democratic voters, and it broke it out by county. And the reason why the death rate is about 5 or 6 years, well, okay, not death rate, but life expectancy is about 5 or 6 years lower amongst Republicans than Democrats. Mainly, it's because of a number of issues. The COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy, which permeates counties and states that are Republican-run, that's one big issue. Okay, gun safety measures. There's more gun violence in Republican-controlled states and counties. And, okay, the refusal of governors and state legislators in Republican-controlled states to expand Medicare. Okay, that's another big thing. And refusal to side with pro-choice measures. They aren't, I'm talking about the Republican-controlled states. They're not pro-life. They're just pro-fetus and child mortality rates and pregnant women's mortality rates are way higher in Republican-controlled states. So it boils down to the GOP MAGA heads would rather that their citizens die than admit that liberal policies are right. Okay, enough of that right now. I got to get this good news out of the way and end the show. Good news. What happens when you give your little boy a doll to play with? 1, he might become a caring pediatrician. 2, he might become a nurturing teacher. 3, he might become a doting uncle or a loving father. But probably he won't become a MAGA head. That's good news. Okay, to end the program, good news. A federal judge on July 29th blocked the implementation of a new GOP-sponsored law criminalizing librarians and booksellers who provide access to materials deemed by MAGA heads, of course, to be, quote unquote, harmful to minors. Okay, this was in Arkansas. And Tim Brooks, the U.S. District Judge, is the one who gave that ruling. Okay, that ends the show. And I'm going to try to dredge up that article. Okay, what I was talking about, the difference in death rates. Here is the article, and it was Time Magazine, May 8th and May 15th of this year, 2023. Okay, they mention specifically the cause of increased, or not increased, but lowered life expectancy amongst, how do they put it? Anyway, number one, they say, is expanding the child tax credit, Medicaid expansion, gun control, drug overdose prevention. Okay, McDowell County, West Virginia, has one of the lowest life expectancies in the country and the highest rate of opioid overdoses. And then number 5 was abortion access, which is health care for women. It really is. Okay. So I will delve into this a bit more on the next show, whenever that's going to be. So here it is. Play out music. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma community, access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. I can't emphasize this enough. Stress levels will go down if you pet your cat and then perhaps sip a little bit of red wine, okay? Both together, and, doing a show like this, I have no stress in my system. And, yeah, you're right. I am letting my beard grow out. So that's going to do it. I may or may not do another show next week. Probably so, because, I like doing this. It's fun. Okay, until next week, bye-bye.